There's an airport in Japan with no land underneath it, just concrete, steel, and $20 billion of pure human stubbornness. In the 1980s, Osaka needed a new airport. But there was a problem. No space left on land, and nobody wanted a runway roaring over their rooftops 24 hours a day. So Japan's engineers gave an answer that sounded insane. Fine. We'll pour our own island, in the middle of the ocean, from scratch. Between 1987 and 1994, an armada of ships dumped 180 million cubic meters of rock and fill into Osaka Bay. That's enough material to fill over 72,000 Olympic swimming pools, with rock. But there was a catch, buried under the surface, literally. The seabed here isn't rock, it's soft marine clay, decades deep, the kind of ground that swallows weight instead of holding it. So engineers tried to outthink the mud. They drove more than 2.2 million vertical sand drains straight into the seabed. Giant straws, built to squeeze the water out of the clay and force decades of natural compression to happen in just a few years. In 1994, Kansai International Airport opened. The most expensive airport ever built. A floating engineering miracle. Proof that money and ambition could outbuild nature herself. Except nature doesn't lose. She just waits. Before construction, engineers ran the numbers. Their official prediction, the island would settle. Slowly. Somewhere between 4 and 8 meters. Over 50 years. That number wasn't a guess. It was the entire plan. Every budget line, every safety margin built around it. They were wrong. Not by a little. By a catastrophic amount. By late 2024, Island 1, the original terminal, had already sunk 13.66 meters. Almost 4 stories of concrete gone into the seabed. Island 2, built later for a second runway, sank even faster. 17.47 meters, roughly 5 stories swallowed by the ocean floor. And here's the part that should worry you. The 50-year clock isn't even close to running out. This airport blew past its worst-case scenario decades early. Every year, the ground under a $20 billion airport quietly drops a little more. And every year, without doing anything at all, the ocean gets a little closer. So how is this airport still open? How do planes still land every single day on ground that's dropping beneath them? The answer is hidden underneath the terminal floor. 900 individual steel columns, silently holding up the entire building. Each column carries a sensor, constantly measuring tilt, not in centimeters, in millimeters. The moment one section sinks faster than its neighbor, an alarm fires. Because an airport that tilts unevenly doesn't just look wrong, it cracks. So workers climb down into this hidden world. They bring in hydraulic jacks, and they physically lift a piece of the airport back into position. Then by hand, they slide a thin steel shim into the gap. Lower the jack. The building rests on the new plate, level again. It's the exact same fix you'd use on a wobbly kitchen table. Except this table is an international airport, and they've been doing it, quietly, for over 30 years. It will never stop. It can't. Right now, somewhere above your head in that airport, someone is boarding a flight. They have no idea what's holding the floor level beneath their feet. In September 2018, Typhoon Jebi arrived, and the airport's real vulnerability stopped being a theory. A 3-meter storm surge slammed into the island. Water the sinking seawalls were no longer tall enough to stop. Within hours, the runways weren't flooded at the edges. They were underwater, completely. Then came the moment nobody planned for. A 2,500-ton tanker ship broke free. Storm winds dragged it straight toward the only bridge connecting the island to the mainland. Impact. The bridge, the airport's only lifeline, was smashed. No cars, no trains, no way off the island. 3,000 passengers were trapped. Overnight, on a man-made island, in the dark, surrounded by floodwater, with their only exit sitting at the bottom of the bay. For one night, Kansai wasn't an engineering marvel. It was a stranded shipwreck with a runway attached. Since Jebi, Japan has spent over $150 million just raising the seawalls higher. Buying time, not solving the problem. Because the island is still sinking, and the ocean isn't. Current projections put the crossing point somewhere between 2056 and 2067, the window in which this $20 billion island could drop permanently below the sea. That's not a rumor. That's not a worst-case fantasy. That's the current math, running quietly in the background every single day this airport stays open. Kansai was never a finished airport. It's a $20 billion countdown, held level by sensors, jacks, and steel plates for as long as humans can keep winning a fight against gravity. So here's the real question. Are we saving this airport? Or are we just paying every single year to delay its funeral? And if this is what it takes to hold up just one airport, what's quietly happening right now underneath every other city we've built on the sea? Tell me in the comments. Malfunction returns.